Good morning, everybody. So here's a case of this Aussie man in the van using his phone whilst driving. So to prove the offence sufficiently for the police to prosecute, you have to show a couple of different things. The first one is holding the phone. The second one is that you must be using the phone. If you're just holding it and not using it, there's no offence. And the third one is that you must also be driving at the same time. So that's three separate things you've got to prove. So let's start with the driving. The driving is reasonably easy. As you can see, as I approach him from the back, the brake bar is lit. So he has his foot on the brake. Although here there's some automatic braking in some vehicles that automatically applies a foot brake. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It would still be considered as driving if that system is operational. Okay, then we come up to this point. Let me go a little further. And then there's some other things that show driving. So one of them is the position in the lane. He's in lane 2, he's nowhere near the curb, and he's in a live queue of traffic at the traffic lights. So that's another case of why he is driving. Then he's wearing a seatbelt, and generally you only wear a seatbelt when you're driving, or you're about to start or about to stop driving. Then, much more incontrovertibly, the RPM counter here is at just under 1000 RPM. The keys are in the ignition. His hand is on the gear stick, and his foot has pressed the clutch in. So, that's absolutely without any doubt driving. Okay, so then the next part of the offence comes in whether you're holding the phone or not, and that's pretty clearly that he's holding the phone here. It's in his hand, there's nothing else supporting the phone. It is resting partially against his leg, but you can see here that he's actually holding it. It's moving around, and then he chucks it down and puts it on his leg. Even having the phone on your leg is pretty dodgy in a legal sense, I believe. Although I'm no legal expert, so don't take my advice as law. And then the final part of the offence is he using the phone? So that's fairly easily shown here because the screen is lit up, and that's one of the things mentioned in the highway code. But the real killer is not just that the screen is lit up, but that he's browsing a website on what looks like alcohol Brandy. And you can see here that he makes a couple of scrolling motions, and you can see the screen responding to not very big scrolling motions, but the screen is moving. So I think therefore that all three parts of the offence are made out. He's holding the phone, he's using the phone, and he's driving. The police did take this case forward. I don't know the outcome, so of course we don't know whether he accepted a fixed penalty notice. In other words, accepted that he was guilty of the offence and took 6 points and £200 fine, or whether for some reason that the prosecution ended without any valid result. That happens sometimes. Nothing you can really do about that. It didn't go to court because I wasn't called as a witness, and so that's about all we know. Okay, then there's some other bits that may be of interest here. You can see that as I get to this point, I've already spotted that he's on the phone, and it's kind of hard unless you zoom in a bit. Let's see, let's zoom in here. I don't know if you can see, but I could very clearly with my eyes see that his eyes were down in his lap, which immediately makes me think phone. Of course, I don't know at that point whether he's on the phone, but it seems very, very likely that he is. And of course, as I get next to him, boom, there's a phone. Okay, then some other stuff that people might complain about is at this point where, firstly, I filter forwards. Yes, I'm allowed to ride on hatchings with a broken surround for the purpose of filtering is more than sufficiently necessary in law. I then look and check back behind me here, and I go in front of that blue double cab pickup. And some people would complain that I didn't stop for the amber light here. Well, I would tell you as an experienced cyclist, you almost never want to stop in this situation with a vehicle behind you who may be feeling who the driver may be feeling impatient. So it's completely safe and legal to go through the amber light here, simply because I think that stopping would be dangerous in that situation. I think anyone with a lot of two-wheel experience in a big city like London will tell you that drivers often don't expect you to stop and will come close to rear-ending you, or actually rear-end you if you do stop on an early amber like this. So that's why I went through. And of course you can see then as I come around here, I leave the space. This light turns amber and there's plenty of time. You can see me checking behind to see whether that's that twin cab pickup is going to stop, but it's clear now because I'm out of the way, and if he decided he was going to carry on, there's room for him to pass me. So that's why I stop here. Okay, have a great week, and I hope you enjoyed my view on that video. Of course, just to be clear, we don't know what happened to the driver. We don't know that he was found guilty at court, or whether he took an FBN, or whether nothing happened. But it seems very, very likely that he took an FBN. Of the cases that I get a unique reference, a pen tip reference back from the police, I think something like 95% end up with points and a fine when it's as clear cut as this. Okay, see ya. Hello mate, I think you should put your phone away instead of browsing for Brandy. Is that an excuse? What is it? DU71RCO. Some heavy potholes there, and stopping